To mix things up a little, we are starting this video in the car already. My name is Peter, welcome to a new video, and we are currently in the LEAPMOTOR C10. And obviously Leap Motors is not a very common household name yet, because it is part of the Stellantis group, and Stellantis believes that this brand deserves its place under its umbrella. So in this video we're going to have a look at what this car is all about, and we start with a lot of good news. Sitting here currently on the highway, it is high, it's comfortable, it's a relaxing driving experience so far. I have excellent tech in front of me, good view out, and overall I'm very comfortable. So off to a good start. If we look at the outside, the good news continues, because I don't think this is a very ugly car at all. There's hints of Porsche Cayenne in the rear, there's some hints of Neo in the front, maybe some design cues from Tesla here and there. It's overall a very interesting looking car, and certainly not something you have to be ashamed to have on your driveway. So that is great as well. And the good news continues when we have a look at the interior, because the space behind me is awesome, and also here in the front I have comfortable seats. Like I said, I have all the tech in the world that I might need, and it is a very pleasant car to be in as well. So currently we are charging, which is a nice opportunity to have a look around the interior of this C10. If you've seen earlier videos, especially from Neo and Tesla, there's a lot of recognizable elements in here. I don't know if they stole it on purpose or if they just arrived at the same design conclusion, but it feels very much like those two brands. So it's extremely minimalistic in here. There's no button inside at all, apart from the window switches and the electric seats. So it's all controlled in the screen and with these two rotary dials on the steering wheel, which are of course directly the same as Tesla. Also, like especially the Tesla Model Y, there's still two control stalks behind the steering wheel, on the right for your drive select and on the left for your lights and your wiper and your indicators. But that is all the controls you get in this car. Everything else is done through the central screen. Like Neo, there's still a driver's display as well, which is quite nice. It's a bit of a letterbox shaped and sized display where you can have your basic information like speed, cruise control, systems, battery status, and so on. And everything else is done on the screen. So going through the cabin, on the left here I got the window switches but nothing else. So the mirrors, for example, are still controlled with the screen and with the dials here on the steering wheel. The mirrors themselves are quite nice actually, good view backward, good size. Not too big, but certainly not too small either. Then here on the left I have a sensor, which is your driver attention drowsiness sensor. So Toyota, for example, has it on the steering wheel. Other manufacturers have it up here, but Leap puts it over there. Quite sensitive, to say it mildly. There's a constant stream of beeps and pings and bongs that the driver is not paying attention, that I'm in a critical state, that things are all going out of control, and you constantly have to turn that back off when you get the warnings on the screen. So it's quite annoying. Sure, there's somewhere deep down 15 menus, there's a button somewhere to dial it down maybe a little bit, but it is very sensitive. So that's one thing to note. But okay, it's there. Then the steering wheel itself is simple, round shape with a slightly flat bottom, so that is something I can appreciate. And yeah, the rotary dials is how you control everything. There's a few buttons in here for locking, your voice assist, your systems on the driver's display, and then you have the rotary dials themselves to use. Quite simple. The learning curve is not too high. It's quite, simply engineered how you operate things with them, so that's actually quite nice. And I quite like having the driver's display through the steering wheel, right under my field of vision, where I can glance at some information like my speed or my state of charge and so on. So that's nice. That is how I prefer to have it. Then we have to spend some time with the screen here in the middle. It's very Apple-ish. So the icons, the way it looks, it's very much, if you ever use an iPad, you'll be right at home here. It is typical, I suppose, that there are 15 backgrounds that you can swipe through to suit your mood. You can set the ambient lighting, you can set the theme and all the things there. So you can really spend a weekend setting it up just so for your everyday mood. And it's nice. It's a great system. It's fast. It operates simple and smooth. The menu structure is clear. The buttons and the apps are clear, so it's all very nice and easy to use. And there's simple things that Leap is doing well, like the car on the picture is the correct car, in the correct color with the correct wheels. Little things like that matter to me. I think I said it in previous videos too. If you spend 30, 40, 50, 60,000 euros on a car, it's a big purchase and it's something that you're proud of owning. And if the manufacturer can't even get the color right, it's something that really bothers me. So well done for Leap for having that done correctly. It's interactive too, because when I open the door, it also opens on the screen. If I flash the lights, they also flash on the screen. So it's simple things like that. The sensors are there anyway. Make it work with your software, everybody. So super easy to operate, and also when you, like I say, it's very Apple-ish. So, you know, those little check marks and little sliders, it feels very familiar and it's easy to use. When we move down the center tunnel, we have a place for wireless charging, 2 cup holders that are slightly adaptive. So that is all in order. Then we have a big storage bin here under the central armrest. So that's quite deep. You can put quite a lot of stuff in there. And there's 2 cup holders behind here as well, which are more for the rear passengers, obviously. But if you put anything too tall in here, and if you have a tall driver, then it's going to hit your arm. So as far as I'm concerned, that could have been moved slightly backwards. Then we also have a storage bin here underneath the central tunnel, because obviously we don't have a transmission tunnel underneath. So that's where you can put your phone, because the 12-volt connection and your USB connections are down there as well. Which is actually kind of nice. I like that, because then the phone can charge and it's out of the way, so you're not tempted to check it anyway. Last but not least, we got the seats, which are actually quite comfortable, heated and cooled. So, you know, easy to operate, easy to get comfortable here. I'm sure they're 15-way adjustable or whatever, but you know, a good seat to find a good position for driving. And I fit in the seat as well. It's a bit on the softer side, so that's also quite a departure from some, especially German brands, where the seats tend to be a bit harder. So yeah, comfortable place to be all around. And the whole cabin is actually a comfortable place to be. I got good visibility forward and backwards, despite the fact there's no digital mirror, but just a normal mirror. Can see through the car quite easily. The window in the back is also where the car ends, so that's, you know, good for your reference. And overall, it's good. It's a good place to be. The materials feel, I wouldn't say luxurious, but certainly not cheap either. So, you know, you can feel that this is still plasticky, but it's softer-ish to the touch. Same thing with your touch points around the car. Overall, it's a good cabin to be. It's nothing too crazy, but it feels fresh and it feels modern thanks to that minimalistic design, which I granted is not for everybody. But overall, I think they've done a pretty good job here. So first, we're going to talk about the powertrain. We have a 70 kilowatt-hour battery underneath, and we have a single electric motor developing a little over 200 horsepower, 218 according to Leap. So not a very powerful car by any means, but I wouldn't say it's underpowered either, especially in Dutch traffic. It is very adequate and easy to drive with the traffic. That said, it's certainly not a race car by any stretch of the imagination, because it is, I wouldn't say spectacularly slow, but it's certainly not a fast car. So you can forget any kind of crazy overtaking or you know, merging on the highway, getting in front of 5 trucks. That is absolutely not happening. And especially when the speeds get a little bit higher, like we're doing 118 now. I wouldn't say that the car's struggling, but it's certainly you know, reaching the upper ends of its power limits. That said, in the city, it is fine. You know, it is fast enough to easily drive with the traffic, to cross intersections, to go for a traffic light and so on. So that's good, but again, by no means it is a fast car. And there's actually some evidence on the Leapmotor's website too. They don't claim a 0 to 100 time, but a 0 to 50 time. So if you're not paying attention, you see the number, you're like, that's a quick car. But then you look again and you see that it's a 0 to 50 quote. So, you know, those are signs that they also know that this is not a performance vehicle. That said, it is perfectly reasonable to drive. It's easy to maneuver. The steering is very light. The visibility out is good. The rearwards cameras are excellent, nice and crisp. So it's not a difficult car to maneuver around. Thanks to the visibility as well. I have a huge front window, good side mirrors. All is well there. So maneuvering also in tighter spaces is no issue at all. Obviously, this is not a car where I have to go like find the limits or anything, but I always try to do things to a car to see how it will react, like, you know, going through corners too fast. And yeah, as soon as you start to push a little bit, you feel that the car is not up for it. It doesn't want to, it's understeering everywhere, can't put its power down anymore. And yeah, it's not a car that invites you to drive fast to begin with, but it's once you do, it's certainly out of its element quite quickly. Here in the back of the C10, it is only good news. It's amazing. This is a blueprint of how you want to have your rear seats done. First of all, the space is fantastic. I'm 1 m, 90 kilos, and the amount of room behind myself is, you need to measure it in full hands. So that is already amazing. And I can put my feet under the seat easily. So that really adds to the comfort back here. There is so much space already, but even with my feet under the seat, I can almost stretch my legs, which is fantastic. Add to that the flat floor and the fact that they didn't make the mistake of letting the middle console from the front protrude towards the rear too much. So I have more than a foot width of space here to slide my feet around. So that is fantastic. That is exactly how you want it. That means that if I sit here in the middle, obviously I sit a little bit harder and higher, but there's still enough headroom, so that's good. But also here, I can move my feet around, no problem. There's so much space for my feet that anybody can get comfortable back here, my size or taller, no issues whatsoever. Add to that the light coming in through the panoramic roof, and it feels roomy and airy back here, almost more so than in the front, also thanks to the relatively high windows here in the back on the side. There's a few simple creature comforts, so I got a USB-C and a USB-A in the middle tunnel. Got some seat pockets and my own window controls and my own speaker, and that is all you're gonna get. So there's no screen or no infotainment or anything going on. But in all honesty, I don't think you really miss that in general anyway. And you can use the cup holders in the middle console for the rear passengers, because there is no cup holder available in the central armrest. So this is just empty and clean. Also no ski hatch, by the way. So all round, fantastic. This is, like I said, this is really how a back seat should be. It feels quality in here. The materials are the same as in the front. And it's just a nice, airy, roomy, fantastically relaxing, big place to be. Well done. I've had it for a week now. And, you know, for your day-to-day things, like driving the kids to sports, errands, your odd stop at the hardware store, groceries, anything in between, it's a fantastic car. You know, it's as long as you take into consideration that you're not going to be fast or sprinting or anything, you just want a comfortable, nice, big, spacious, soft car to move things and people around in. It's an excellent proposition. The space in the back is fantastic. That is, it's not often that I sit in the back of a car and say that it is a blueprint of how a back should look like. This is very well done by Leap. And they work well with the form factor of the car. You know, the space here is nice, it feels airy, it looks modern. So all around, it's a solid proposition on the inside. And that is maybe the dual conclusion of this car, that on the one hand, you get all that space, tech, luxury, space in the boot, space in the rear. And it's just a pleasant vehicle to move things around. On the other hand, yeah, you could argue that it's not a driver's car, that it's not a performance car, that there's not enough of everything. Yeah, maybe that's true for certain people, but I can also see that it is absolutely not true for other people that just want a pleasant vehicle, and then why not? Finding a fault with this car is, wouldn't say difficult. I mean, if you start to look with a magnifying glass, obviously the lower down the cabin you go, the worse the plastics get, and there's simple things like no padding in the door bins and so on. Yeah, those are obviously cost savings. On the outside, it's the same thing. I noticed that at higher speed, the bonnet is moving a little bit. Don't know why, until you go bonk bonk on the bonnet and you realize it's quite thin steel. So, you know, corners have been cut for sure, but is that a problem? I don't really think so. If you just want a vehicle to move people and things around, do you really care about that? I don't think so. And then you do have a stylish looking car with all the toys and tech that you can imagine. There's two versions available of this Leapmotor C10. There is the style version, which is the base version, and the design version that we are in. And in the design version, you get bigger wheels, you get electric boot lids, you get heated steering wheel, and a few other toys inside. And I think that is probably the one to go for, because if you use this as an everyday vehicle, you want those little extra luxuries. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Is this another Chinese brand sort of copy of everything, knockoff at a cheap price that will fall apart in a few years and disappear? Or do you guys think there's legitimate future in brands like this? Let me know in the comments. Interesting to read what you guys think there. For now, that's all I have for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Sub to the channel is always appreciated as well. Then you don't miss any of our future videos. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.